Breaking overnight, 14 Americans evacuated from a quarantine cruise ship in Japan have tested positive for the COVID-19, better known as the coronavirus. This is a live picture from Lackland Air Force Base in Texas, where evacuees landed overnight. Now, these new numbers come after people spent days stuck aboard a ship that had traveled to China. Team 12's Jen Wahl is live in the alert center. So, Jen, what do we know right now?
So the State Department says the 14 evacuees who tested positive for COVID-19 did not have symptoms and were allowed to board a charter flight with other cruise ship passengers back to the U.S. Officials say they were being isolated separately from other passengers on the flight. And the two military planes landed in California and Texas overnight. A State Department spokesperson said in a statement that the passengers who tested positive were put into a specialized containment area on the evacuation aircraft. Now, you'll remember these Americans were on that cruise ship in Japan that's been quarantined for the past couple of weeks. There were 3,700 people on board so far. 355 of them tested positive for the virus, including the Americans we already mentioned. Those passengers brought back to the U.S. will be required to undergo another 2-week quarantine. And you may remember last week we spoke with a Glendale couple that was on board the quarantined cruise ship and was anxious to get home. We are working on getting any updates from them. Stay with 12 News for the very latest in this developing story. Ryan?